The real asset sector has a key role in shaping a sustainable world. At APRIA, advancing the sustainability agenda through our advocacy works that encourage responsible investment practices and creating social impact has become a strategic priority. By taking action across our membership, we can have a meaningful impact on our environment and the communities where we operate. APRI has put together a series of ESG-focused thought leadership episodes featuring experts who can share insights and practical guidance for businesses considering ESG. For this first episode, we are pleased to have Ms. Esther An, who is Chief Sustainability Officer of CDL. She's our special guest, and Esther has been an active advocate for green building and sustainability for over 2 decades. And she has also been instrumental in establishing CDL's leadership in sustainability. We in APRI are very proud to have her as our ESG lead champion. Hi Esther, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, and so nice to see you finally in person once again. And so today, let's talk about this fast rising phenomenon, ESG and sustainability. You've been in this business for quite a long time, and can you mind sharing what does sustainability mean, to the property business, and also why is it integral, in terms of integrating it into the entire business?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for having me. And today, sustainability is a global agenda. And this January this year, World Economic Forum presented the annual global risk report. Once again, 5 out of the top 10 global risks are climate related. And to no surprise, of course, the top risk was infectious disease, right? So climate risks and are definitely business risks and also investment risks. Anything happens to the climate, to anything to do with ESG, it does have a financial impact. And well, last year, the world has changed a lot because of the global pandemic. But one thing that is a welcome change is it was actually a year of sustainability awakening. Okay, and there was also a greater convergence of will and commitment among political and business leaders. And behind me, you can see that all these are very familiar, goals, whether it is Paris Agreement, whether it is Race to Zero, and whether it is the European Green Deal, and US is back in the game, with Paris Agreement, and of course the 17 SDG, and I think most importantly is investors' voices and regulators' voices. And what they are asking for is actually, looking at how we can, account for climate risks, account for climate-related financial disclosure. G7 just finished their meeting not too long ago, and in June, they actually announced officially to back TCFD as a mandatory scheme for countries and businesses to adopt. And same for sustainable stock exchanges. Also highlighted that listed companies should adopt TCFD, which is the Task Force for Climate-Related Financial Disclosure. And of course, we have our own Singapore Green Plan that come with a lot of regulatory changes, policies, and all. And but the silver lining is sustainability definitely offer a much stronger business case than ever, a stronger investment case, moving forward. And if you can see all this number behind me, of course, principle for responsible investment has grown by leaps and bounds. From 2006, they only, used to have about only 63 signatories, which are actually all the institutional investors. Today, more than 3,900 signatories. And together, look at the asset under management, is more than 103 trillion US dollars. So if listed companies want a share of this pie, you have to dish out very strong ESG strategies and also ESG performance. And of course, linked to climate action. You have the Climate Action 100, which are actually an alliance for investors to come together and to ensure that the world's largest corporate GHG emitters take stronger climate action. And last year alone, you have actually seen the growth of ESG investment tremendously. ESG exchange trading funds tripled last year, and sustainability bond doubled in terms of volume, in 2020 compared to the previous year. So there are a lot of investment money out there for companies to tap on.
So clearly, Esther, I see in your presentation, your different slides, sustainability is now a mainstream priority among global, national, and industry players. And so for a property developer, how can one build better and greener for a sustainable future and yet capture opportunities? Maybe you can share your experience, in terms of how you integrate ESG into your strategy and still deliver what the customer wants.
Well, if I could use CDL's business case as an example to illustrate this, to those who may not know as well, CDL was established in 1963 with 8 employees only, and today we are operating in 29 countries and regions. Our core business, including residential development, we have commercial development, we're also one of the leading landlords in Singapore, and we have a global footprint of 150 over hotels. And over the last few years, we have also built up a fund management portfolio as well. So we are an investing company, we are also an investor. And this actually value creation model summarizes our 26 years of ESG journey. In the core of it, which we started in 1995, that was actually the corporate ethos that we established at that time, conserving as we construct. That was the year I joined the company and the industry, because what we feel is construction and building industry do have actually very strong environmental impact and social impact as well. And of course, during that era, we did not know that, the sustainability and global warming now become the global agenda. So what we feel is like we need to conserve the environment, conserve resources, and also taking care of the community. So of course, fast track, over these two decades of, journey, we are not just talking about green building, we are not just talking about EHS, environment, health and safety of our workers and work site. We also look at how do we integrate it into our business to create value. And of course, this is actually a very simplified model. At the core of it, conserving as we construct, still, a very, very important foundation. And over the years, we have actually learned how to embrace it into various aspects of our business, whether it is product design, whether it is leasing, property management, how to engage with our stakeholders, whether they are our tenants and investors or consumers, or even community at large. That actually have a lot to do with our human capital, social relations capital and all. And all these have, an impact on reputation, which is we call it the organizational, capital. And what we produce is obviously to help to enhance your manufacturing, capital as well. Everything we do for the environment, that also enhance your natural capital. All these actually have a strong impact on the financial capital. And how do you attract investors? How do you attract, consumers? And therefore, we actually look at this model. You can see that we have also embraced the so-called UN SDG 17 goals, but we only, focus on goals that we can make a difference and we can make an impact that are also aligned with our material issues. So we have actually today we have embraced 14 out of 17 SDGs. And what we are looking at is not just the past glory or today's problem. We look at future. That's why in 2017, we actually established a sustainability blueprint. We called it Future Value 2030. No point for us to just look at today. We have to future-proof your business. Look at and envisage, what are the future challenges and how are we, future-proof our business to achieve, come with the adaptation, policies and all that to prepare ourselves for the future. And of course, the bottom of it is actually, you can see all the sustainability reporting framework and guidelines and all that. We have actually embraced over the years since the 2008, we published the very first sustainability report by a Singapore company. And every year we move, raise the bar, and we build up this, very exciting, harmonized standard that we embrace CDP, we embrace TCFD, SDG, and SASB as well, and Climate Disclosure Standard Board. So this is a really harmonized standards the whole world is actually looking at. Yeah.
How often do you have to update this strategy?
Well, strategy, you can't really update it all the time. You set your vision and mission, you work towards it. But of course, you also have to look at how you can, what are the gaps? Whatever goals you set, you must track. If you don't track, you don't know what are the gaps, whether you are on track to achieve the goals and targets. If I may share with you our 4 pillars of our strategy, we call it the 4I, which is integration, innovation, investment, and impact. ESG will not work if it is working in silo. So you have to integrate it into the whole corporate strategies, corporate structure. So at CDL, our sustainability portfolio only report to the Board Sustainability Committee, comprises 3 independent directors and our group CEO. So we have the top leadership commitment from the advisory level to the operational level and get every business units on board together. Innovation is important. We are facing a lot of climate challenges, and mitigation is a given. And what we are looking at is adaptation. Otherwise, you can't come up with technology solutions that will help to move the needle. And investment is important because you need to put money where your mouth is. When you talk about green building technology solutions, they all come with a price. But we don't look at it as cost. We look at it as investment. We look at it how it can help us improve performance and lower the carbon footprint. And of course, as a corporate, whatever we do have an impact, whether positive or negative impact. It's important that we have to show the impact, communicate it, and the 3 deliverable based on these 4 pillar are 3D, which is easy for you to remember. The first one is, of course, decarbonization. Is very important. How do we lower our carbon footprint? Because building and construction industry account for almost 40% of global greenhouse gas emission. So how to green and how to adopt low carbon technology have always been our priority. Second, the second D is digitalization and innovation. Without innovation solutions, you can't really move the needle. Okay. Then last but not least, you must committed to disclosure and communication, because your investors want to know, your stakeholders want to know, and that is also very important to talk about sustainability reporting and disclosure.
So, according to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, this is a decade of action. So how can businesses advance their strategy and practices toward achieving a low carbon future?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would just focus on our business case as a developer, as like a landlord. So setting vision, mission are very important, but action is most important. And how do you implement it into your strategy, into your product? It's, to show the impact. So if you look at this slide, actually here that we captured we started our green building journey as early 2000. So we launched our very first so-called eco condominium, which is probably set the benchmark of green building standards in Singapore. It's an eco condominium. We called it Savannah Park. So we even embrace solar energies to power the clubhouse of the condominium. And of course, over the almost 15 years now, we have actually imposed on ourselves, to commit to invest 2 to 5% of construction costs into green features and all. And we also get our stakeholders value chain on board. So we established our so-called CDL, 5-star EHS award. That is to help to set benchmark and also track the performance of our contractor, engineer, consultants, architect, and we want everybody to come on board and sail to the same direction. And the same commitment apply to residential and also commercial. And where you are here, City Square Mall, actually was launched in 2009 as the first eco mall in Singapore. And definitely you have to put, walk the talk, not just set goals, set vision, but you must show impact and also show it clearly in your products. And of course, nowadays everybody is talking about super low energy. Our Building and Construction Authority is setting the standard for like green building master plan. So now we are not just talking about green building, we are talking about super low energy building. And in the longer run, how to achieve net zero. So this is the Sustainability Academy where you are now is actually one of the very first net zero building in Singapore. And since the opening in June 2017, it was only powered by solar energy. And over the rooftop here on the Academy, we had about 3,200 square feet of solar panels. Yeah. And the other zero energy building is located at Singapore Botanic Gardens. It's a CDL Green Gallery. Similarly, it was only powered by solar energy. Yes. So I hope this will share with you the whole journey of our green building and also sustainability.
Yeah, it's great to see a company like CDL being a leading player in this space. So I would like to pick your brains here. What would you like to see in the ESG landscape, particularly for the property business? At least over the next few years, everyone is at a different journey right now, but things have changed. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would say the top priority is decarbonization towards net zero. And I think almost every other day you read newspaper, you go to social media, this term of like race to zero is commonly seen. So this is almost become a norm, moving forward already. And in February this year, just a couple of months ago, we actually made a very bold pledge to adopt World Green Building Council's Advancing Net Zero commitment and pledge to be carbon operational zero for our buildings that are under our direct control and management by 2030. And it has very clear criteria and also we have set our own pathway to do it. And, but I would like to share that if company want to make a bold pledge, better look at whether there is a pathway to do it, whether there is a strategy. For us, it's a very prudent move because we started very early, almost 2 decades ago. And in 2015, we actually consolidate all our green building and climate strategy and all that, and establish our very clear corporate climate change policy and also carbon management scheme. And took us 5 years to make this pledge because I think as a listed company, we have to be responsible. We have to make a pledge, but we also have to make it with a very prudent manner. And once we make this pledge, definitely, that's only the beginning of the journey. You have to look at how are you going to, realize this vision and make it happen. So for any, fellow, property player, yes, you need to set ambitious goals, but also, adopt a more prudent manner to make sure that you have a pathway to do so. Yeah. And just for those who may not know Race to Zero, as much, that in fact it is actually gaining momentum. It was established in June. It was launched, the campaign was launched in June last year during COVID year. And it has actually become the largest ever alliance representing 50% of the world's GDP, the members that supporting it, and also 25% of greenhouse gas emission. And it is still counting. You see the number here, it was, last week. I'm sure this week it has actually gone up again. The supporter, include 120 countries, 730 over cities, and thousands of businesses, and also investors and academics, and 24 regions. So this is something that will help the world to be greener and more sustainable. We are very happy that it's actually, CDL, we have a very strong leadership commitment. This is my CEO's name, that it is on the web page of Race to Zero. Yes.
All right, well, in closing, Esther, what in your opinion, are 3 or more, whatever you think is appropriate, strategic thrusts and practices that our APRIA members, and the greater industry players out there can pursue to achieve a low carbon future?
Definitely that corporates can make a difference and also should be responsible to drive change. Business today is no longer just short-term, profits. You look at this pie here, which is the triple bottom line, which a lot of companies are familiar with: planet, people, and profit. But when it was established in 1994, the focus is just like how to maintain a balanced triple bottom line. But today, you can't just look at it, in a very superficial manner. At the core of this triple bottom line, my own personal opinion, that it has to be, sustainability at the core of it, with the purpose and all, because without a healthy planet, you have no healthy people to become, to provide a market for business to thrive. So investors have made it very clear. This quote is actually by BlackRock, which is the world's largest asset managers. And what he says is very clear, that companies that understand their overall impact on the environment and society and align their business and operation with the UN SDG will have the potential to become market leaders. And those who fail to do so will face pressure from regulators, from investors, and reputational loss as well. So I hope that for whether our APRIA member or any industry leaders, they should also look at how they can align their business with global best practices. Behind me, this is like a little bit mind-boggling, a lot of acronym here, but these are independent sustainability ratings and rankings. If you want to check whether your business is aligned with best practices, take part in all these, sustainability ratings and rankings, such as like CDP, Dow Jones, and MSCI ESG ratings, and they have many, many levels. So of course, it's better to have like given, a B level or C level than not at all. So we actually started more than 10 years ago, and we are very happy that we have maintained AAA levels since 2010. As for CDP, it started with actually it's Carbon Disclosure Project, but now it is renamed as CDP. They track climate security, they check water management, they check also forestry, as well as supply chain management as well. And CDL is very honored to be on the A list for Southeast Asia and Hong Kong as well since last year. A list on both climate strategy and water management as well. And the rest is all, very important. Everyone here is important and will help companies to look at how they can align with best practices. Yeah. And then if you are asking, 3 things that I think companies should look at is definitely find out what are the top material ESG issues from your internal and external stakeholders, because what you think are important may not be the same as what your external stakeholders think. And also look at what are the strategy, secondly, of course, you have to form the strategy. How do you address all these so-called ESG, issues? And of course, you must set goals and targets and track it. What gets measured get managed. If you don't know the gaps, you can't improve. Just to share with you that actually a lot of stakeholders have made their preference known, and on the right hand side here, from 2014 onwards, CDL actually started our materiality study. That is a very robust approach to find out what are the top ESG issues that are material to you as a stakeholder. So this is actually the latest list. The top actually become health, safety, and well-being. But over the last few years, the number one issue is actually innovation, because it shows that investors, stakeholders are taking a long-term view, not just talking about legal compliance. If you are not complying with law, you lose your license to operate already. So innovation is very important, and in fact, McKinsey just have a report also show that a lot of companies agree that innovation is the way forward. But survey also show that they feel that they are not quite well equipped with ability and capability to do so. So I think in order to accelerate movement, we have to really look at what are material to your business, find out how you can actually strategically and operationally improve, and to set goals and set targets, and also track. And last but not least, I want to highlight is like nobody should go alone in this green journey. Partnership amplified voices, ideas, and impact. So this is just our examples that this Singapore Sustainability Academy, it was supported by 6 government agencies, 15 industrial partners when we set it up in 2017. And over the last few years, we have built up a huge network and become really a hub for climate action and for SDG. Before the lockdown, every week we have an average of 3 events and training. In fact, the partnership is here with Sustainable Energy Association Singapore. We give half of the space for them. It is basically a hub to bring people knowledge, capacity, network together, and it's rent-free for organizations who promote their worthy causes. And APRIA is always a supporter of our sustainability program and events. So definitely more ideas and brains come together, it will work better and it will advance our green agenda faster. And this academy is actually comprises more than 80% are actually sustainable building materials, and we also use it to pilot some of our next generation of building integrated solar panels. Afterwards, I can show you the BIPV is the really the way forward. How to adopt solar energy in a larger scale, even given very land scarce Singapore, we can make use of building facade to install solar energies and all. Yep. So I hope this is my wish for our APRIA members.
Yeah, thank you. Well, this has been great. Very insightful, and thank you for taking the time to do this and for everything that you do. This is really wonderful.
Thank you so much.